The galaxy was quiet, but not peaceful. It had been quiet before great disasters many times. Old space lanes drifted in silence. Broken worlds floated like graves. Every advanced species knew the truth. The galaxy did not care who lived or who died. The Aurelian Alliance had survived by learning one rule above all others. Do not go near forbidden space. Some regions of the galaxy were marked in red on every star map. No trade, no travel, no rescue. Not because of superstition, but because nothing that entered ever returned the same. One of those regions bordered human space. Humans were new to the galaxy. Too new. They had reached the stars in an impossible amount of time. Worse, they came from a death world, a planet with crushing gravity, violent storms, endless predators, and constant war. Most species could not survive one day there. Humans evolved there. The Alliance avoided them. Everyone did. That was why the signal made no sense. The alert appeared without warning inside the Alliance command sphere. A soft chime echoed through the vast chamber as light screens activated. At first, the officers thought it was an error. Then the symbol appeared. An SOS marker. Ancient. Emergency only. Civilian priority. And its origin, the room went silent. The signal came from the Caro's expanse, a system long marked as lost. Entire civilizations had vanished there centuries ago. Exploration fleets never returned. Even war empires avoided it. The signal strength was weak, fading, but it was real. Millions of lives were calling out. Admiral Veilrix stared at the display. His 4 eyes narrowed, his skin darkening in fear. "Confirmed source," he said slowly. A technician checked again. And again. "It is confirmed, Admiral. The signal is recent." Another officer whispered, "That system borders human territory." The word human passed through the room like poison. A younger commander spoke, voice shaking. "This could be a trap, or worse. What if they want us to send ships?" Veilrix knew better. He had studied galactic history. No species used civilian SOS signals as bait. That was a line even monsters did not cross. "This is a real cry for help," he said. "And they are running out of time." A council was formed in minutes. Holograms of leaders from dozens of worlds appeared. Fear was visible on every face. Scales tightened, feathers flattened, bioluminescence dimmed. The debate was short. No one volunteered to go. Their fleets were not built for suicide missions. Their soldiers were not born for endless war. The enemy in the Caro's expanse was rumored to be something ancient, something that did not negotiate, something that erased stars. Then one voice spoke the unthinkable. "We could ask the humans." The chamber erupted. "Are you insane? They are Deathworlders. They fight wars for generations. They do not stop once they begin." Veilrix raised a clawed hand. "And that is why they are still alive." Silence followed. The truth was cruel, but clear. Humans had fought things no other species could survive. They had lost billions and kept going. They had nearly destroyed themselves and endured. If anyone could face the horror in Caros, it was them. Sending that message would change everything. Humans did not forget. They did not ignore debts. And they did not arrive quietly. But the SOS signal weakened further. The cries grew desperate. Veilrix made the decision. Send the message. The transmission was simple. No demands. No politics. Only truth. Civilian systems under attack. We cannot help them. Please, if you can answer. The message crossed the border into human space. Nothing happened. Seconds passed. Then minutes. Hope began to die. Then the human reply arrived. Not a fleet signal. Not a diplomatic speech. Just text. 5 words. "We are already on our way." The chamber froze. "What does that mean?" someone whispered. Sensors began screaming. Human space erupted with movement. Hyperspace signatures bloomed across the void like stars being born. Ships emerged in perfect formation, already armed, already aligned. They were not rushing. They were advancing. The fleet count climbed higher and higher. Hundreds, then thousands. Some ships were massive, moving fortresses with scars from old wars. Others were small, fast, and silent. Every hull was built for battle, not beauty. No music, no broadcasts, no warnings, just motion. An Alliance Center officer spoke, voice hollow. "Admiral, the humans did not ask for permission." Veilrix nodded slowly. "They never do." The fleet changed course toward the Caro's expanse. As they moved, something else became clear. The humans were not reacting. They were prepared, which meant one thing. They had faced this enemy before, and survived. As the human fleet vanished into darkness, fear spread across the galaxy, not of the enemy in the expanse, but of what was coming to meet it. The forbidden space waited, and for the first time in centuries, it was about to learn fear. The Caro's expanse had always been wrong. Stars there did not shine like normal stars. Their light bent, stretched, and dimmed as the space itself was tired. Ancient wreckage drifted between dead planets. Ships from many species, frozen in the last moments of their flight. Some had weapons still firing into nothing. Some were cut clean in half. The alien refugee fleet was hiding near a shattered moon, engines dark, power low. Millions of civilians crowded inside fragile transports. Their cities had burned. Their defenses had failed. They were waiting to die. Then space changed. Sensors screamed across every ship at once. Gravity rippled. Light twisted. The void tore open like a wound. Human ships emerged. Not slowly. Not carefully. They arrived like a storm. The first wave came in perfect lines. Heavy warships with black armor and glowing blue engines. Their hulls were marked with scars. Old damage repaired again and again. These ships had survived battles that should have destroyed them. Then came the second wave. Fast attack craft. Carriers. Missile platforms. Siege ships large enough to shadow planets. The refugee fleet stared in silence. One alien captain whispered, "That is not a rescue force." Another replied, voice shaking, "That is an invasion." The human fleet did not broadcast greetings. They did not ask questions. They spread out instantly, forming a wide defensive wall between the refugees and the dark heart of the expanse. The enemy had not yet appeared, but the humans were already ready. Inside the lead command ship, Admiral Jonathan Reyes watched the sensor feeds without blinking. His face was calm, almost tired. Around him, human officers worked in silence, their movements smooth and practiced. They had done this before. "Confirm civilian count," Reyes said. "Estimated 23 million, an officer replied. Reyes nodded once. "Then we hold." An alien envoy finally gathered the courage to open channel. The image flickered, revealing a tall, insect-like being. Its mandibles trembled. "Human Admiral, we did not expect such force." Reyes met its gaze. "You asked for help." "Yes, but—" "We came." The envoy hesitated. "The enemy, it destroys fleets. Entire worlds. Our weapons did nothing." Reyes leaned back slightly. "Then you use the wrong weapons." Before the envoy could respond, the sensors changed. Space screamed. Something massive moved inside the expanse. Not ships, not fleets, a swarm. Thousands of dark shapes poured from the shadows, organic and mechanical at the same time. They moved like a living storm, feeding on energy, tearing apart debris as they advanced. Alien crews broke into panic. "That's them." "They're here." "Shields up. Retreat." Human ships did not retreat. Reyes raised his hand. "Open fire." The human fleet erupted, not with bright energy beams, but with kinetic death. Massive cannons launched metal slugs at impossible speeds. Missiles swarmed forward, adjusting course mid-flight. Railguns thundered across space. The enemy swarm struck back. Energy waves crashed into human shields, burning, tearing, dissolving matter. Several ships took direct hits. They did not fall back. They pushed forward. Alien observers watched in disbelief as human vessels took damage that would have shattered any other fleet and kept fighting. Automated repair systems sealed breaches. Damaged ships moved to the rear while fresh ones took their place. It was not chaos. It was discipline. One alien commander whispered, "They're fighting like this is routine." Reyes studied the enemy patterns. "Same behavior as before," he muttered. "Adapted, but not enough." An officer looked up. "Sir, you fought them before?" Reyes did not answer immediately. "Yes," he said finally. "Long ago, before we joined the galaxy." The truth hit the alien listeners like cold space. The enemy swarm pressed harder, breaking against the human line like waves against stone. Every loss cost the humans, but they did not break formation. Then the enemy changed tactics. A massive core entity emerged, larger than a city, radiating power. The space around it warped. Alien ships screamed warnings. That thing destroyed our homeworld. The human fleet adjusted instantly. Reyes stood. "All units. Phase 2. Human ships began moving toward the core. The alien envoy shouted, "You're advancing. That thing will kill you." Reyes' voice was steady. "That's the idea." The human fleet surged forward, straight into the heart of the swarm. Ships were lost. Explosions lit the dark. But the advance did not stop. The refugees watched in stunned silence. These Death Worlders were not fearless. They were resolved. They fought not to survive, but to make sure others did. As the human fleet closed in on the enemy core, the expanse itself seemed to tremble. The ancient horror had met something new, something that did not run. And the battle had only just begun. The battle inside the Caro's expanse grew darker. The enemy swarm changed its shape again and again, learning with every second. Destroyed drones were replaced by stronger ones. Energy beams shifted frequency. Attacks became faster, sharper, more focused. This enemy was not mindless. It was thinking. Alien fleets that had once fought it remembered this moment. This was when hope usually died. But the humans did not slow down. Human ships moved like parts of one body. When one was damaged, another took its place. When a path was blocked, they made a new one. Through fire, through debris, through the enemy itself. Inside the command ship, Admiral Reyes watched the losses climb. He did not hide them. "Report," he said calmly. 17 ships destroyed. An officer replied. "Heavy damage across the line." Reyes nodded. "Continue advance." An alien observer nearby could no longer stay silent. "Human Admiral, you are losing ships. Your people are dying." Reyes looked at the being. His eyes were tired, but steady. "Yes," he said. "They knew that when they came." The enemy core pulsed brighter, sending out a wave of force. 3 human cruisers vanished in a flash of twisted space. Alien screams filled the comms. Human channels stayed quiet. Escape pods launched automatically from the wreckage. Rescue craft broke formation to retrieve survivors. Even as weapons fire continued around them, the alien observer whispered, "You are saving your soldiers during battle?" Reyes answered without looking away from the display. "We don't leave people behind." The enemy reacted. Tendrils of dark matter lashed out, targeting rescue ships. 2 were hit and destroyed. The human response was instant. Every nearby ship redirected fire. The tendrils were torn apart in seconds. The enemy recoiled. It had learned something new. Hurting humans made them more dangerous. Across the battlefield, human ground forces deployed. Boarding units launched directly into the enemy swarm. Small strike teams entered organic vessels, fighting in tight corridors with weapons designed for brutal close combat. Alien sensors struggled to understand what they were seeing. These readings, they are fighting inside the enemy. Reyes allowed himself a small breath. That's where humans do best. One human marine team transmitted live footage by accident. Alien crews saw it before the feed cut out. Humans moved through darkness and fire, wounded but advancing, pulling injured teammates forward even as enemies closed in. They fought with speed, strength, and fury, but also with discipline. They were not berserkers. They were soldiers. The enemy adapted again. It focused all its power on the human command ship. A massive energy spike surged toward Rhea's vessel. Shields screamed under the strain. Systems failed one by one. The bridge shook violently. An officer shouted, "Shields at 20%. Alien observers braced for the end. Rhea stood firm. Reroute all power to forward shields. Prepare counterpulse. That will overload the reactors, someone warned. Reyes did not hesitate. Do it. The command ship surged forward instead of retreating. At the last second, it released a powerful gravity pulse directly into the enemy core. The result was catastrophic. The core staggered. Its energy output dropped. Large sections collapsed inward. For the first time, the enemy screamed, not in sound, but in waves of distorted space that rippled across the battlefield. Alien ships felt in their bones. The enemy was in pain. The human fleet pressed harder, but the cost was rising. Casualty reports filled the screens. Names, faces, entire units gone. Reyes closed his eyes for 1 second, then opened them. Phase 3, he said quietly. The alien envoy stiffened. There is more. Yes, Reyes replied, but we hope not to use it. Human ships began forming new patterns. Specialized vessels moved to front. Old, heavy ships marked with warning symbols. Their hulls were thick, scarred, and patched with different materials. Alien sensors struggled to read them. What are those ships? The envoy asked. Reyes answered, voice low. Survivors. The enemy gathered its remaining strength and charged, throwing everything it had at the human line. The galaxy held its breath. Human ships did not retreat. They locked position and waited. The moment before impact, Reyes spoke one final command. Hold the line. The human fleet absorbed the attack. Ships were torn apart. Space burned. Explosions lit the darkness like dying stars. But the line held. When the smoke cleared, the enemy had lost more than it could replace. The alien fleets watched in stunned silence. This was not victory yet, but it was something just as important. Proof. Proof that the enemy could be stopped. Proof that humans did not break. And proof that the galaxy had made the right choice when it sent that forbidden call for help. The war was far from over, but fear had changed sides. The battlefield burned in silence after the last exchange. Wreckage drifted slowly through the Caro's expanse. Broken ships, both alien and human, floated among the stars like quiet graves. Fires still burned on shattered hulls, but the enemy swarm had pulled back, retreating into the darker regions of the system. For the first time since the battle began, there was space to breathe. Human ships moved carefully now, rescuing survivors, recovering escape pods, and towing damaged vessels out of danger. Medical ships worked without pause. No cheers echoed through the comms. No victory calls were made. To the humans, this was not over. The alien fleets watched everything. They had expected monsters. Instead, they saw something far more unsettling. Compassion in the middle of war. Inside the human command ship, Admiral Reyes removed his gloves. His hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from exhaustion. Around him, officers worked quietly, faces pale, eyes heavy. An alien envoy stood nearby, unable to stay silent any longer. Human Admiral, it said slowly, your losses are severe. Any other species would have withdrawn. Reyes looked at the drifting wreckage on the main display. Any other species, he replied, did not grow up where we did. The envoy tilted its head. You have mentioned this before. Your homeworld. Reyes nodded. Earth. He gestured, and the room dimmed. A hologram appeared, an image of a blue planet, scarred by storms, broken by continents, wrapped in violent weather. This is where we came from, Reyes said. A world that tried to kill us from the moment we were born. The alien watched silent. Our gravity crushed our bodies. Our oceans drowned us. Our storms leveled cities. And the life that shared our planet hunted us. Reyes continued. We survived by standing together. Another image appeared. Humans fighting floods, fires, wars. We learned early that help does not always come. Reyes said quietly. So when someone calls for it, we answer. The envoy's voice softened. Even when it costs you everything. Reyes did not respond immediately, especially then. Alarm sounded again. The enemy was moving, not attacking, reforming. The massive core entity pulled fragments of itself together, absorbing damaged units. growing denser, stronger. Alien commanders panicked. It's rebuilding. It will attack again. We can't survive another wave. Reyes straightened. Neither can it, he said. He opened a secure channel. All human units. This is Admiral Reyes. Every human ship responded instantly. We have confirmed the enemy's adaptation cycle. Reyes said, if we allow it time, it will recover fully. A pause. Phase 4 is authorized. The alien envoy froze. What does Phase 4 mean? Reyes looked at it, eyes steady. It means we end this, even if we don't all come back. The alien's mandibles trembled. That is unacceptable. Reyes shook his head. It's necessary. Human ships began to move again, slowly, deliberately. Older vessels took the lead, ships with outdated designs and reinforced hulls. Their names appeared on alien sensors. They were labeled as legacy units. These ships, an alien technician said quietly, they are ancient. Yes, Reyes replied. They're survivors. The enemy sensed the movement and reacted violently. Tendrils lashed out again. Energy storms filled the space between fleets. Human ships advanced anyway. Inside one of the legacy vessels, a human captain smiled faintly as a ship shook. We made it through worse, he said. The human plan became clear too late for the enemy. Legacy ships drove straight into the densest part of the swarm. Then they detonated. Not explosions. Control collapses. Artificial gravity cores were overloaded, creating massive gravity wells that crushed enemy matter inward. Entire sections of the swarm vanished, torn apart by forces beyond normal physics. Alien crews screamed in shock. They're destroying their own ships. Reyes watched the display, jaw tight. Those ships were built for this, he said. Built by people who knew they might never come home. The enemy howled again, space twisting violently as it struggled to escape the collapsing gravity traps. Human ships pressed the advantage, but the cost was terrible. Legacy ships vanished one by one. Each loss felt like a wound. The alien envoy finally understood. Humans did not fight because they loved war. They fought because they refused to let others face it alone. As the last gravity collapse faded, the enemy core was exposed, damaged, unstable, and vulnerable for the first time. The battlefield fell into stunned silence. The alien fleets stared at the readings. The impossible had happened. The enemy could be killed. Reyes exhaled slowly. All units, he said, voice heavy, prepare for final engagement. The alien envoy bowed its head. Human Admiral, the galaxy will remember this. Reyes did not look away from the stars. We don't need remembrance, he said. We just need you to survive. The human fleet formed up one last time, weapons charging, engines burning. The enemy core pulsed weakly ahead of them. The end was coming, and with it, a legend the galaxy would never forget. The enemy core drifted in the darkness like a wounded star. It pulsed slowly now, its surface cracked and unstable. Pieces of it broke away and dissolved into nothing. The ancient terror that had erased civilizations was no longer advancing. It was afraid. Alien sensors confirmed it. The enemy was trying to retreat deeper into the Caro's expanse, pulling what remained of its swarm around itself like a shield. Across the battlefield, human ships moved into position. They were fewer now. Burned hulls, broken armor, engines held together by repairs done under fire. Many ships barely functioned, but none turned away. Admiral Reyes stood on the bridge of the command ship, staring at the final target. All units, he said, voice calm but heavy. This is it. The human fleet formed a wide arc, surrounding the enemy core from all sides. Alien fleets pulled back, watching from a distance. They had no weapons that could help now. This was a fight only humans could finish. The alien envoy stood silently beside Reyes. You could still withdraw, it said softly. The enemy is damaged. Another time. Reyes shook his head. There won't be another chance, he said. If it escapes, it will come back stronger. It always does. The enemy reacted suddenly. A violent surge of energy erupted from the core, sending shock waves through space. Several human ships were torn apart instantly. Others spun out of control, their systems failing. Alien crews screamed as they watched. Human fleet is collapsing. They can't hold. Reyes closed his eyes for a brief moment, then opened them. Advance, he said. The command echoed across every human channel. Damaged ships pushed forward. Pilots fought failing controls. Engineers rerouted power from life support to weapons. Medical crews strapped wounded soldiers into seats so ships could keep fighting. No one asked to retreat. No one hesitated. The enemy unleashed everything it had left. Energy storms burned through shields. Organic weapons pierced armor. Space twisted and tore apart vessels caught too close. Human ships exploded. Still, the fleet moved closer. The alien envoy watched in horror. They are dying, it whispered. Yes, Reyes said, but not running. Human strike teams launched toward the core. Boarding pods fired straight into the enemy's surface. They cut their way inside, fighting through living corridors that crushed, burned, and resisted them. Most teams did not survive. Those who did sent one final message before silence. Charges placed. Mission complete. Reyes nodded once. The enemy core sensed a danger and began to collapse inward, trying to crush the invaders before they could escape. It was too late. Detonate. Reyes said quietly. Inside the enemy, multiple controlled explosions tore through its heart. The core screamed, not in sound, but in violent wave that rippled across the system. The enemy tried to flee. Human ships surged forward one last time. This time, they did not stop at firing range. They rammed. Massive warships drove directly into the collapsing core, delivering final payloads at point-blank range. One by one, they vanished inside the enemy, sacrificing themselves to ensure destruction. Alien fleets watched in stunned silence. They had never seen this kind of war. This was not strategy. This was commitment. At last, the enemy core reached critical instability. Space folded inward, then exploded outward in a blinding storm of light and gravity. The shock wave rolled across the expanse, shattering debris, pushing fleets back, silencing every sensor for long seconds. When the light faded, the enemy was gone. Nothing remained. No core, no swarm, no shadow, just empty space. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the alien sensors updated. Enemy presence, 0. The Caro's expanse was silent. The galaxy trembled. Human ships drifted in the aftermath. Fewer than half remained operational. Rescue teams moved quickly, pulling survivors from wreckage, treating the wounded, counting the lost. The alien fleets finally dared to move closer. The envoy bowed deeply, lowering itself in a gesture of total respect. You saved us, it said. You saved the galaxy. Reyes looked at the casualty report scrolling across his display. We did what had to be done, he replied. But why? The envoy asked. Why give so much for species that feared you? Reyes was silent for a long moment. Then he said, because someone once helped us when we were alone. The alien did not understand, but it felt the weight of the words. Across the galaxy, emergency beacons went quiet. Worlds that had waited for destruction realized it would not come. Messages spread faster than light. The enemy is gone. Humans destroyed it. Humans answered the call. Fear changed direction. The galaxy no longer feared the darkness beyond the stars. Now, it feared losing the humans. As the damaged fleet slowly turned back toward human space, Reyes watched the stars ahead. The war was over, but the legend had only just begun. The galaxy did not celebrate right away. For a long time after the battle, space remained silent. Debris drifted where the enemy once existed. The Caro's expanse, feared for centuries, was now empty. The ancient horror was gone, but the cost was written across the stars. Human ships moved slowly through the battlefield, collecting escape pods, towing broken hulls, and marking the locations of those who would never return. There were no victory songs, no loud speeches, only work, only duty. Alien fleets watched from a distance, unsure how to act. They had prepared for the galaxy to end. Instead, it had been saved by a species they once feared and avoided. Inside the human command ship, Admiral Reyes stood alone, staring at a list of names. Too many. Each name represented a life, a family, a story that would not continue. An officer entered quietly. "Sir, the Alien Alliance requests a formal address. They want to honor the fallen." Reyes nodded slowly. "Open the channel." The screens around a bridge lit up with faces from across the galaxy. Leaders of worlds, military commanders, civilian representatives, species that had never spoken directly to a human before. They looked at Reyes with something new in their eyes. Respect. The alien envoy stepped forward. "Human Admiral," it said, voice steady but heavy with emotion. "Today, the galaxy stands because your people chose to fall." A pause followed. "We feared you," the envoy continued. "We believe you were too dangerous to trust, too violent, too unpredictable." Reyes listened in silence. "We were wrong," the envoy said. "You are dangerous, but not to the innocent." The envoy lowered its head. "The galaxy owes humanity a debt that can never be repaid." Reyes finally spoke. "We didn't do this for debt," he said. "We did it because someone needed help." A murmur spread across the gathered leaders. Another alien spoke. "What do you ask in return? Territory? Power? Protection treaties?" Reyes shook his head. "Nothing," he said. Shock rippled through the channel. "You lost so much," the alien pressed. "You must want something." Reyes looked back at the stars. "We want you to remember," he said. "Remember what happens when someone calls for help and no one answers." Silence followed. Then, slowly, the alien leaders bowed. One by one, some with gestures of respect, others with gestures of mourning. Across the galaxy, the story spread, not as propaganda, as truth. On distant worlds, children learn new history, not about empires or conquerors, but about a species that crossed the stars to save strangers. Military academies rewrote their teachings. New rule of war. Never assume humans will stay away. New rule of survival. If humans arrive, hope still exists. Trade routes once closed to human space were reopened. Diplomatic channels lit up with messages of thanks, apology, and fear mixed together. Humans responded to none of it. The fleet turned home. As the damaged ships crossed into human territory, they were met not by cheering crowds, but by silence. Flags lowered. Names read aloud. Lights dimmed across entire planets. Humanity mourned its dead. They always did. Weeks later, the alien envoy arrived at Earth. It expected towering monuments, massive war memorials, proof of victory. Instead, it found small gatherings, quiet ceremonies, families holding pictures of loved ones who would never return. No statues of the enemy, no banners of triumph, just remembrance. The envoy finally understood. Humans did not fight to be worshipped. They fought because they could not ignore suffering. Before leaving Earth, the envoy asked one final question. "Human Admiral, if this happens again, if the galaxy faces another darkness, will you come?" Reyes looked at the sky. "Yes," he said simply. "We always will." The envoy bowed deeply and left. Years passed. The Caro's expanse was renamed. Not after the enemy, not after the battle. It became known as the Silent Reach, a place where the galaxy almost ended, and where humanity stood. Among the stars, travelers still whisper the same story. They call for help. Humans answered, and the galaxy trembled, then survived. And somewhere, far from the praise and the fear, humanity returned to its quiet watch, waiting, because one day someone will call again, and humans will answer